Pressures from their Christian foundations were not the only problem. A grueling tour and promoting schedule was also upon them.
Before the album came out, they were living in LA, sleeping in the morning. Life was pretty slow. But when this thing hits, bada bing, bada boom, you're on tour. Interviews in the morning, radio stations, television interviews, television shows, meet and greets with fans, sound checks, concert, meet and greet with fans after the concert. It's 2 in the morning, get on the bus, drive to a different town at 6, get out of the bus, go in the hotel, sleep for another 4 hours, get a shower, go to the radio interview, boom, all of a sudden it's bump, 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 bump like this. Well, Amy handled it pretty well.
But other members of the band were feeling the pressure.
I was the assistant manager at Guitar Center in Little Rock, and Ben Moody came in to buy some equipment from me. And then I was telling a friend of mine later, that he came in. He's just like, are you sure? He's supposed to be on tour, on tour right now in Europe. I was just like, no, he came in. And so about 2 weeks later, when I talked to John, he had told me that, just one night, they had, were all hanging out talking, kind of like a little bit of a instance happened, and next thing I knew, he was on a plane.
As Ben Moody was a little moody, and he had a lot of up and down swings, and some days you got the good Ben, and some days it was a little difficult, and so you had to handle it with kid gloves.
I know that Ben had split once before. I knew that Amy had left for about a week. I knew that Amy had a lot of moments during their tour where she couldn't sing for a week or so. I knew there was something possibly going on, and I thought it may be just a sudden rise of fame.
On the road and touring, Ben was unhappy. When you're touring, you're not creating. You're singing the same songs over and over again. You're almost like a trained monkey. Okay, here, put that in your mouth. Time to do the trick. Play that bring me to life thing.
I've heard stories, about how, they would fight a lot, but they were always, best friends.
There was some little scene, and they had a little tension, and when the tension occurred, Ben said, "I'm going home."
Yeah, and that's just what seems so shocking, is because when they did break up, it was, a war of words, and it still is.
And I think this particular time, he thought that they would just fold up their tents, bring the circus home, miss a few dates, we'll go make them up later, you know how these bands do. But this time I think Amy had thought, that's about enough of this stuff, and we're going to go on without Ben.
Reactions to Ben leaving the band were mixed.
I wasn't really shocked when I heard that Ben had left the band. I was a little surprised that he left at such a high point.
I was actually quite surprised and shocked that Ben was leaving the band, just because that we all strive to get to what he's attained in life. And it's not, I'm not bashing Ben at all whatsoever when I say that, because it may have been artistic differences that separated them.
Ben leaving the band, I was kind of shocked, man, because, that's something that you live for, That's the whole reason of being in music, is to be a rock star, and, be on stage and play in front of millions of people.
That just kind of sounded like a bullshit move to me when they were on top, and
yeah, he kind of
just to kind of ditch his bandmates like that.
Well, and I would have gave my left nut just to be in his shoes, man, and I wouldn't have quit. I don't care how bad it be. How bad could it be?
Knowing Ben, I'm sure he had a really good reason to do what he did, and I'm sure it wasn't as abrupt and uncaring a break as maybe what was publicized,
There's a lot of these breakups that go on in bands right in the beginning, because some people just go, "Hey, I didn't sign up for this."
The duo that had formed the band had split. It was time for Amy to take centre stage.
She had pulled that band together, and she made it work without Ben, and she was so proud of herself, a 21-year-old girl, that's, I've done this, I made this happen, and I pulled it off. That she had ordered catering for the band, and they ordered Dom Perignon for the band, and they were celebrating because they did it, and she proved that she could do it. And so when that occurred, I think pretty much then they felt like, you know, if Ben wants to leave, we can let him leave. We can still go on.
People were scared when they heard that Ben Moody was leaving because he was known as the person that wrote all the music and got things going. But, you know, from knowing the guys that are in the band also, talking about Rocky Gray, John LeCompte, they got the guitar player from Cold. Like, those are all three great, you know, musicians. You know, like the songs I've heard them working on already are every bit as good, if not better, than what Ben was doing, so I don't think they're going to have any problem.
Evanescence had been touring with the band Cold, and they approached lead guitarist Terry Balsam to fill the space left by Ben's dramatic departure.
Terry is from Jacksonville, Florida, and because I'm from Florida, I liked him immediately. And he's just a real low-keyed, even-keeled guy with a lot of creative ideas, and he's a fine guitarist. He's a tremendous guitarist.
Ben's departure, I think, really the other guys in the band will become more important. John has written 2 or 3 songs for the band, one of which is on the record. Rocky's written songs that are on the record. Will wrote one of the first songs that they performed and recorded.
Amy and Terry get along real well. There's something that really connects there. And I was afraid after Ben left she wouldn't connect with someone. But they got a nice thing going there creatively that I can see that is going to be very interesting to watch.
Although Ben may have left the band, his future looks bright, as the demand for a talented songwriter is always high.
I've seen Ben a couple of times since he left, seen him in here, you know, just hanging out and watching other bands. He seems to be doing real well with the kind of collaborative songwriting stuff he's doing. I know he worked with Avril Lavigne. He had some stuff on the Punisher soundtrack.
Ben's future seems quite good. I mean, you know, he's worked with Kelly Clarkson, Avril Lavigne. He's doing the Resident Evil 2 soundtrack.
I think because Ben Moody is a songwriter, that he'll do so much better than she will. Songwriters make a whole lot more money with a big hit than a rock star, you know. Rock star is more glitter and flash.
As long as he, you know, keeps a cool formula and everything, I think that, you know, he'll be pretty successful, you know, because Ben and David, you know, they're the hot topic in LA.
When we first started working together, he told me that his aspiration, his main aspiration, was to become a film director, and that he had seen many musicians sort of make the transition. They make it in music, and then because they have a name for themselves and sort of a presence in the community, they then start a film production company and they get into film that way, and it's a bridge sort of.
When you have Mel Gibson call you up on the phone and ask you to write the score for his movie, you know, that pretty much tells you right there, you know, your writing capabilities.
He's even got his new band, you know, coming out on Wind Up Records, you know. So, I mean, it seems like he's doing what he wants to do, you know. He says he's making a, you know, a horror flick, and I think he used Evanescence as pretty much a pedestal to do what he really wanted to do. You know, he got in it, you know, got out quick, got what he wanted from it, and now he's, you know, utilizing that.